Hey guys, just wanted to do my review of The Flash, Season 3, Episode 4, The New Rogues. The episode starts with a flashback to Sam Scudder and Rosa Dillon, who would later become the Mirror Master in the top, and how they're discussing with Leonard Snart in a flashback to 2013 how they're complaining about not getting their own cut in a robbery and how they want out of Snart's crew. And when a fight breaks out, and Snart is about to put a bullet in Scudder's head, the particle accelerator goes off, and Snart and his crew makes a run for it, and then, of course, Scudder and Rosa are hit by the dark matter wave, in which Sam Scudder gets trapped in the mirror, and we don't see the apparent effects on Rosa, but between the flashback and present day, we later found out she was imprisoned in Iron Heights in one of those special facilities designed after the pipeline in the Star Labs. In Star Labs, because because of her metahuman powers, too, instead of just becoming like an actual spinning top, she just induces vertigo in her victims. But it turns out Sam was trapped in the mirror for 3 years, and when a construction crew is going to level the place, he finally escapes and wants to kill Snart for trying to kill him. And he starts by trying to have one of his lackeys thrown through a reflective surface and come out of a window on a lower level of the building, where he's injured and interviewed by Joe, who finds out about Mirror Master and his activities. Wells is the one who names Mirror Master, Cisco's the one who names the top. And Barry mentions how he found out from Oliver how Snart ran off with the Legends and was traveling through time, and nobody knows that he sacrificed himself in the penultimate episode of Season 1 of Legends of Tomorrow. And he tries to talk to Joe because Barry and I are having a quiet evening with wine and whatnot, and they were making out on the couch, and Barry was uncomfortable making out with Iris in front of Joe, and Joe was uncomfortable having to walk in on that, even though Barry tried to hide it by super speeding away and replacing their wine with beers, blowing out the candles. And it's not technically incest, but I know that, as much as I hate to acknowledge it, there is that whole kind of incestuous undertone to the relationship. Mostly, personally, I got past it early in Season 1, but it just kind of come to a head when even Barry kind of acknowledges it, especially when he almost calls Joe their dad. And Iris says that he has to talk to Joe about it and make sure they're on the same page. Joe's uncomfortable with it, but kind of okay with it, and then Barry admits later on that he's the one uncomfortable with it because he's finally got the girl, and he just feels like now he's afraid of, he feels like it was easier to fail than succeed, and now he's afraid of losing that. And there's even a parallel with Jesse and Wally, because Jesse takes Wally literally running around the city, and Jesse kisses Wally, and then he's afraid of having the relationship go further than a friendship because they live on different Earths. But then later in the episode, he gets over it and realizes that he's not going to let that fear of having a long distance relationship. I don't know how that would. Which, by the way, I don't know how well that would work, because I know Cisco can vibe other Earths. He can vibe the multiverse, but I'm not gonna overthink that. I'm not gonna overthink that. It was cute. It was nice to see that relationship finally blossom. I mean, there was a part of me that was kind of wondering how they were ever going to explore that Wally West, Linda Park dynamic like in the comic books, but the ship between Jesse and Wally seems to be so popular, and the two actors seem to have really good chemistry that it just seems to be, kind of on the back burner, at least for now. And Wells is talking about how he and Jesse have to go back to their Earth eventually because they still have to help Earth 2 recover from Zoom's reign of terror, but Team Flash feels like they, is not going to be the same without a Harrison Wells on the team, and so Harry comes up with an idea of sending a tachyon enhanced satellite that beams. It's as crazy as it sounds. It beams a message to the different throughout the multiverse to different versions of Harrison Wells, and an equation they can figure out as a means of trying to, recruit a new Wells. And it's a pretty hilarious scene. They go through different Wells from different Earths. One's from an Earth where he's kind of this Southern cowboy, and another's from almost a Victorian era styled Earth, and he has a top hat and these little spectacles on it, which is funny. And then there's the one who's kind of who's basically a hipster and seems pretty affable. And Harry's against the idea of having another he's not good enough. He got to find someone else. And then when they're trying to help out Barry, it leads to the somewhat hilarious conversation when Wells interjects that he feels like he's getting replaced, and he was which are feelings he eventually gets over before he takes off, that that he has a place in their hearts, and he's irreplaceable, which is nice. And I don't know, I would not have minded of having another an Earth 2 Wells stick around even as a recurring role for a third season, but for this season. But I know they're always trying to mix it up and have Tom Cavanaugh play different versions of Wells each season and stretch his acting muscles, because he's proven to be such a versatile actor with playing Eobard Thawne disguised as Wells, Earth 2 Wells, and this kind of hipster version of Wells who's from Earth 19 and calls himself who he nicknames himself HR. He seems like the kind of guy who's trying too hard to be cool and funny, and I don't really know what to make of him. But anyway, the main storyline is that Barry's trying to train Jessie how to use her powers with precision, and of course Mirror Master they found out that Mirror Master, his powers work by creating wormholes and reflective surfaces, and there is kind of this mythology gag in the episode where Wells says there was a Mirror Master on his Earth, but he used a ray gun, and his name was I think it was McDullen or some. I don't remember, something like that. There was a second Mirror Master. It was kind of a reference to the second Mirror Master who uses a ray gun, because most Mirror Masters in the comics use it. And this version on Earth 1, he basically still wears a suit, and he wears a button-down suit instead of a costume, because it looks ridiculous and it wouldn't translate well onto screen. The Flash and Jesse Quick confront them, and Jesse does not listen to Barry when he tells her to stay put. He also follows Barry while he's chasing Mirror Master and going through reflective surfaces on plaza buildings. And so when she confronts the top, she uses her vertigo powers to cause her to feel dizzy and fall off the top building, which then Barry has to go and rescue her, and that whole distraction causes the Mirror Master to trap Barry inside of a mirror and get away. And Jessie's blaming herself, and Cisco and Harry just use reverse technology from Leonard Snart's cold gun to try to freeze the mirror in order to help Barry escape, but they aren't able to get it cold enough. But eventually, when the meta-human alert goes off and everybody else leaves the room, Caitlin uses her Killer Frost powers to freeze the mirror completely, and Barry's able to phase out of the mirror. And so this time, and while he was in the mirror and talking to Iris, they set up a trap in which Barry uses a hologram of Leonard Snart to lure out Mirror Master, and he shatters all his mirrors, and he's surrounded by all these different mirrors in which he's caught in this like almost like infinite loop of mirrors. So whenever he goes through one reflective surface, it'll just come out of another, and he just can't get out. And so he's handcuffed, and they use a similar setup in his cell in Iron Heights to make sure he doesn't have a means of escape. And they also seem to be setting up a romantic attraction between Joe West and I guess like a district attorney in Central City who was helping him investigate Dr. Alchemy and other metahumans, and Joe chickens out on going on the date. And I know some people were saying online they felt like there were like too many romantic subplots in this episode, which I can kind of understand. That third one was definitely like it wouldn't affect the episode at all. That could have been saved for like a later episode. I do have vibes where, no, pardon the pun, where I'm kind of worried about maybe Barry and Iris's relationship maybe taking up too much of the subplot, too much of the main plot, in the same way that Olicity did in last season of Arrow. I hope that's not the case, and that the writers learn from the mistakes of that show. And I know people are also disappointed because they kind of hyped up to make it seem like Captain Cold was returning in present day and that he was going to be resurrected by the effects of Flashpoint and Barry's meddling with time. Was I disappointed that he didn't show up? Yeah. Was I surprised? Not really, because he was he was a fan favorite villain, so of course they were going to hype him up as watch bait. But I don't remember where I read it. I know I read somewhere that he was going to appear in mostly flashbacks only. And I think at the time they were filming this episode, I know Wentworth Miller is still filming the Prison Break revival miniseries. So time will tell in what capacity. I guess just how he's going to come back at this point, because they figured, he's going to come back to a villain again, and then Reverse Flash is going to recruit him to be as part of the Legion of Doom on Legends, so we don't know how he's going to come back, but considering he helped blow up the Oculus, which is outside of time and space, it would kind of make sense that he wouldn't be affected by it. Or, I guess, there's no real internal logic to time travel, any of that crap in the Arrowverse anyway. But anyway, overall, I liked the storylines. I thought it was a really fun episode. I enjoyed it a lot. And I also liked the stinger at the end, in which, Barry decided that he's now more comfortable kissing Iris with the PDA now as part of Joe, and he decides he's just going to move out just to make everybody happy. And there's this stinger, when Caitlin is at home taking a shower, and she accidentally uses her powers and freezes the steam and the water in her shower. And then when she comes out of the shower, she ends up with slightly paler skin, blue lips, and a skunk stripe in her hair, which means she's slowly turning into Killer Frost. And based on the promo for next week, it just seems, or at least based on the synopsis, it seems like she's going to run to her mother for help out of desperation. But of course, because it was mentioned in season 2, her relationship with her mom was turbulent, it's probably going to even send her further down the dark path. In addition to a plot in which, based on the promo, it looks like Barry's going to be facing a metahuman who looks kind of like the Cloverfield monster, and apparently there's more to HR than meets the eye, and is this going to be the one investigating them? So is he going to have good intentions or not? Time will tell. What do you guys think of the new HR? Did you prefer to have Earth 2 Well stick around? How do you feel about Mirror Master or the lack of Captain Cold in this episode? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.